So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jana Martin, Associate Director of University at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the Language Institute. I'm happy to welcome you to the fourth session now of our Spring 2022 series. The Language Collaboratory is a partnership for the advancement of intercollegiate dialogue on the teaching of languages and cultures, driven by language centers and institutes at the University of Iowa, the University of Michigan, the University of Minnesota, Michigan State University, and the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Our aim is to provide collaborative professional learning opportunities for educators of language, culture, and literature at the 5 institutions. Our series this semester continues our goal for this year, furthering conversations on the topic of student engagement. So far, we have addressed this issue from 2 perspectives: research and then pedagogical and practical. We aim to share insights and to encourage interinstitutional dialogue, bridging institutional distance and fostering a collaborative interchange of ideas. You're invited to contribute to what we hope will be a lively discussion. The sessions will be recorded and made available through each institution's website. We ask that you mute your microphone at the outset, that you use the tools in Zoom to contribute questions and comments in the chat. And then during the open discussion period, please raise your hand virtually prior to activating your microphone. Closed captioning is available through the live transcript button in the Zoom menu bar. Today, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Asma Ben Romdhane, who will present "We Are What We Eat: Enhancing Cultural and Linguistic Competency in a Foods-Related Course." She'll also, well, this is related to the topic maintaining student engagement in a post-COVID world. Dr. Ben Romdhane is a Fulbright alumna and an advocate of integrated approach to Arabic language instruction. One of her main research interests focuses on how to simultaneously teach the 2 varieties of the language successfully in a way that reflects the authentic practice of native Arabic speakers. In the spring of 2015, she received a Stanley Grant for International Research and a university-wide Outstanding Teaching Assistant Award from the University of Iowa. In 2019, she served as a judge at the United States University's Arabic Debating Championship at Harvard University, organized by Qatar Debate Center in the United States of America. In the past few years, she has been dedicated to helping Arab refugees integrate and assimilate in a new culture through her translation and interpretation skills. Before we begin our discussion, I would like to encourage everyone to attend our next session, which will be held on Thursday, April 14th. So that's just like next Thursday at the same time. On that date, we will hear from Kate Pisani from the University of Minnesota about strategies for creating a classroom community of practice. So please, you're all welcome to join us. After today's session, you will receive an email inviting you to provide feedback about the session today. Please consider providing your input because we really appreciate it. And we really like your comments or ideas and thoughts that you have. Then with no further ado, let's begin. I'm gonna actually just give a minute to Claire.
Hi, everybody. My name is Claire Francis from the Center for Language and Cultural Learning at the University of Iowa. As you may know, the way we organize these collaboratory sessions is that each of our constituent partners is responsible for finding a speaker. So Asma has agreed to be my speaker from the University of Iowa today, and I'm super excited that she has agreed to do this and to talk about a course that she's developing for next semester. We're working together on a food and culture reading group and have an incredible hope of building an instructional kitchen at our university, or having access to one at some point where we can have food and language courses. So I'll turn it over to Asma. Thank you, Asma.
Thank you so much, Claire, and thank you, Jana, for the introduction as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It's really my pleasure to be here and also to talk about one of the closest topics to my heart, because not only I love to cook and, but also I love to teach about culture related to the food that, related to my culture in general and to my home country and the history behind it. So this topic actually came in my mind before, since we're talking about the global kitchen and, having students engaged, especially after the post-COVID syndrome and the 2 years of, having online instructions. And I was like, okay, what would be like the best way to have my students kind of being part, like to be active in community, to be back, like to be engaged in class, and to have them really motivated. And one, so I suggest this class, and I'm so excited about teaching it next fall. I'm so glad that I am doing the collaboration with Claire as well. So we are still having all these ideas. The class is not finalized completely yet. I had the simple like for my syllabus, but me, like, but I have the big like themes kind of, I know what are the things I want to touch on and what are the things that I would like my students to be part of. So I want to like just like share quickly my screen. Okay. And okay. So basically I had like two things, of course, they were like in my mind a lot, thinking about linguistic competence and intercultural competence. And these are like really like main two things in language, how to connect and balance, language and culture in the classroom. And, so as like the language offers us a venue to access the cultural manifestations of another culture, to have a dialogue with others, to negotiate and mediate misunderstandings, and to build relationships. And having such a class for me, so is presenting about the food, presenting about the history, that comes like, for example, behind these like foods, the stories of the people, how this is important, having students integrated in like with the community. So here's my idea about like the class is that having the students presenting different like I would say like dishes from different places, regions in North Africa and the Middle East, having the students have readings about the history, that why it's important, what it means to people, and having students write their own reflections, and also like having a project-based so class where like students, they have to be part of the community, to integrate with the community, where they have to be in touch, so I'll put them in touch with heritage, like speakers, like, whether like they are refugees, or like people just like, native speakers who came here to study, and have students like they would like go and try to ask them to have interviews with them about like, the story of the food. Being in the US, what are the things that resonate with them? Like why they want to keep like, these dishes, they want to make them. What's the reason behind it? And having students also see how people make these, foods, like, for example, and writing their own cookbooks. So that will be kind of a, kind of piling a cookbook. And hopefully if the kitchen will be ready, also we will try, but also we talked like with Claire about also other places until the kitchen in our, like hopefully in Phillips Hall will be ready, that we'll have students having a demo cooking sessions where they have not only like things they read about, but they will be also integrated, and in making the process of making the food itself. And yeah, so I was like talking about, like the way my like thing, going back to the importance of fostering the 5 C's: communication, cultures, connections, comparisons, and communities. And so I feel like these are, and of course, as well as intercultural competency. So yeah, so I am doing this kind of, more, I want to have people like asking me, and, like if there are any questions, suggestions as well, I would love also, any ideas that would like come, to mind. I have, of course, like one of the things that I had to keep in mind are like Bayram's like model of intercultural communicative competence, because this is the class I'm trying it for right now for a first year seminar. So I'll be teaching the class in English and have the students integrated. But my students who are in, elementary, and also I have like students who are taking like my media Arabic classes, where like really like they really want to take this class, but they are not freshmen anymore. And they suggested that, why don't you create a class in Arabic? So, and this is something kind of, I want to give it a try with English, but then I want to go like further. I would do the same kind of version, but will be with advanced Arabic. So it will be, language and community, and students will be involved, but everything will be reporting in Arabic, basically, interviews in Arabic language. And so, I wanted like kind of to touch on, again, like Bayram's model of intercultural, competence, and where students, they have to, so asking students about like by their knowledge, what attitudes, skills of interpreting and relating, skills of discovering and interaction, and critical cultural awareness. And by meaning, so I would like to start also by students' stereotypes. And I feel this is really, really important in the class, where my main thing is, okay, what do you know about this? Where do you think this is coming from? Because this is already is a whole like, discussion, I feel, where I would like to have my students very engaged, just like spur their like, critical like thinking about, because I don't want them just like, it's something you just heard about and this is what you think about, and that's you take it as, for granted. And I want to see that, and that's why I want to have the reflections, students' reflections, part of kind of, also my way of seeing what this class, how this class changed their view, because I want to kind of compare between before and after, and I want them to do the self-comparison as well. And we talked about also about like the intercultural like citizenship, where students also, they have to think about where they are coming from and how you compare, what are the maybe the relationship, what are the similarities, because sometimes a lot of students, they come, and especially for a first year seminar class, where I think a lot of students, they have their like, they've been always in their bubble and they don't know about the, just like what's going on in the world, and maybe by even talking about the ingredients, because there's like, oh my god, like you can make this food with all these ingredients that also we use in making our food. And so I want kind of to show that no, like the word, it's a small word, still, and with all the differences, still we are all connected by any means. And I want to kind of push them to be, like to be more curious about like discovering about other cultures. So I wanted to start from my class, but I wanted like my goal is way behind, way beyond this. So it's not like there is like behind the scene, there is like this, but also you open them about discovering other food, not only it's going to be in North Africa and the Middle East, but later about other like, like in Russia and in, so whatever, like in Ukraine and in Japan and in Asia in general. So so that's one of my main purposes for this like class. And there's like another thing I was, so how to do this, so actually my main thing also is thinking about keeping in mind engagement. I want to have my students engaged. And this is the one of the most important things in my class. I want them to be curious, engaged, motivated, excited about being in class, and even like after class when they are writing their own reflections. And this is like one of the things for Clara, like engagement is achieved when learning is challenging, learner-centered, active, real-world relevant, and autonomy-rich. And so that's the things, like what's going on in the classroom, but also I want to have the students kind of carry this with them outside the classroom. And so yeah, so I don't know like if there are any like questions, any things I can talk more about. I don't want to be like also it's not a teacher-centered thing. So I'd love to have like more communication. So everyone is welcome to give me any like ideas or like, comments.
And we have a question from Lydia, and she would like to ask her question live. Lydia, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. I really love this project you have, Asma.
Thank you.
Great ideas. So I
Thank
have three, I have three comments.
Yeah.
I love the idea of you're going to do it in English first, so you have a wider audience and it gets really popular. And that's a great idea because I teach at the University of Minnesota and I teach French. And we do that. We have a course like for freshmen to get them all excited about French and Francophone things. But then I was thinking, I love the idea too, that you somehow one day go into the advanced thing and do it with the Arabic students, because then it would be just so exciting to be talking about this stuff in the language. So that was one thing I was going to say. And then I had two questions for you. Do you think you're going to make couscous?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, because my dad was Algerian and that's my favorite dish of all time. So then the question was, that takes a long time to make. And you said you might get this sponsored kitchen. So who's going to pay for is it like something that's already there? Is it like with the food sciences and then it's already there and then you get to use it? Or how's that going to work?
So I am honestly like, I feel I am so blessed to be in a place where I am very supported by the department in general, by my colleagues and everyone. So even talking about the idea, I had even like the DO just like jumping on this, okay, we will have funds for your class, so we will, we'll put it on the side. We have, also like clear with the, with the language as well. Like there is all like everyone's collaborating. So like, okay, we can like ask for funds. We can like ask for anything more. So basically it's gonna be like funds, yes, from the department. In general?
Because I was also thinking when my son was in middle school and high school, he took like food science classes because it was just like a requirement. And they always had a kitchen on site. And the kids just loved that. That's like something they've already done, when they were in middle school and high school. So I think that on the college level, it would be fun for people, they're obviously not majoring in food science, but it would be like a nice change. And I also think, after all this COVID teaching and virtual stuff, it's a great hands-on thing for community building.
So why don't I jump in here? I work with Asma. I'm the director of the Center for Language and Culture Learning. And as I said in my intro to her, is that we are working, one of the first things I did in my first day on the job, which was like less than 3 years ago, I said, we need an instructional kitchen in this language center. And I've been working with various entities around our campus, and it turns out our building is not going to be good for this for various ventilation reasons. But there are multicultural centers on our campus, and so I'm just putting this out here is that this is a possibility potentially for those of you in this Zoom to explore. Is that these are student centers where they often have a kitchen. So we have the LGBTQ one, the African American, the Native American Latinx houses. They have a house with a kitchen. And some of them are large enough to have a small class. So we are going to start to collaborate with these centers and have Asma and other faculty take their classes there to do their cooking courses. It might be smaller groups, a couple of, half a class at a time. There might have to be, the logistics have to be worked out. But that's one of the ideas. And then these centers are building a larger center within the next 4 years or so, which will have an instructional kitchen. And because we got in on the ground floor of this, so to speak, of the building project, will have a say in what that looks like and how language faculty can use that.
I had one last question just to follow up. So in lower division French, we're always doing recipes so we can learn about the articles and the partitive articles and, you know, the imperative for how recipes are written. So if you did it in the advanced course, would you be using these recipes as texts? You know, like because you mentioned cultural readings, would you also be like looking at the recipe as a genre or something like that?
So with the recipes, basically, is that no, so there will be like, of course, like the literary wave, like the history behind it, but also we'll talk about ingredients, how all this, right? But then if I'm gonna like switch it into a language class, actually, I used to teach at Northwestern University, and we had like this global kitchen thing where what I used to do is that I take my elementary students and my advanced students. And basically what I do is that my advanced students, they already know the command, they know the verbs, right? But so what I do is that the elementary students, they have to name like the vegetables, they have to name the fruits, they have to name the small like things, right? So like they will learn how to say like salt, black pepper, you know, onion, garlic. So this is like for elementary students. While, for example, the other students, the advanced, so I let them do everything basically. And the other ones, they'll be like, okay, cut, you know, chop the onion. The elementary students, they have to get them the onion, right? And then they'll be like, so kind of they will be seeing what are those verbs of command to be done. So with this one, if I'm gonna push it more, my idea is like with the recipes and everything for advanced, where they will be learning, of course, they'll be reading more simplified articles because it's gonna be not the same way you're gonna be reading in English. So like the history, they can give a presentation about like the whole like dish, for example. So I would go more beyond because this will be more a class related to food. So they will be given, they have to kind of discover about food. For example, the fact I told you they will be integrated with the community. So the students, they have to share with everyone what is the recipe they learned from the refugee family, for example. So they will be telling about their own experience, and then even having, hopefully, you know, with the kitchen and everything. So kind of the student will be the chef. So of course I will be like taking a look at the recipe before, I will like see, but then also it's gonna be all like in groups, how like you wanna say this, these people, they prepare this, these people, they prepare this. And as you asked me about the couscous, is that, you know, it depends, for example, on the dish. So since couscous takes time, this is something I would tell the students, okay, we can do it on a Friday afternoon. You know, what would be, how about a day whether like they don't have to be really like stressed out about it's only an hour and a half, and then they have to run to the next class. So that I will be kind of, and I'm pretty sure that the fact they're going to be engaged, and you know, so there's going to be like on their calendar like, okay, cooking day, you know. So I'm pretty sure I will get, you know, more students involved and integrated, and with the funds, maybe if this will work and, you know, everything is going, I would like maybe think about applying for grants as well, you know, for like from bigger like picture.
And next in the queue, we have May. Please go ahead and ask your question. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Asma. Nice to meet you here. And
hi, May. Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much for this amazing topic. And I like the idea about community engagement. This is very important for a student. And especially you said you will give them like a report to write and interview. I think that will be amazing. I just want to suggest a book that I learned about. It has a fairy tale. It's called Arab Fairy Tale First, a Literary Cookbook. This is a new one, and it talks about. I don't have the book, but I attended the workshop, and it was beautiful. So it might be very helpful. And a friend of mine, she's Chinese professor, and she's teaching the same thing about food, but she is using it in relation to environment and decompose it, and that may be something, and the companies and the taxes and all these things. So that may be something to explore within the topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Definitely, I will get it. Thanks.
And next we have Beth. Beth, go ahead.
Hi, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about the idea of incorporating teaching for intercultural competence. And I've done a course where I tried to really focus on that as well. And one of the things I did was I kind of tried to foreground it in the beginning with exercises and activities and some background information on it itself. But at the same time, I know one of the really important things is the reflection. And I'm kind of just curious in how you're conceiving of this. Do you think you'll do sort of background information, or, you know, talk about Byram, or will it all come out in activities that you structure for reflection?
Yeah, so my purpose is to do more activities to keep students engaged all the time, kind of to not let them. So I want to get what they have been learning. That's why I said, like, first I want to start like from, you know, I'm curious about like learning about their stereotypes, you know, what already like the ideas that they're coming from. And then, you know, just like with doing the readings, with them interviewing, you know, like the refugees and, you know, being involved in the communities and having, you know, having the hands-on on things, like being part, they feel like they are the ones active in even the process of making these things, that I want to see, you know, how, you know, so I want to like do like all these different things. Having them kind of work like having a food project where they have to do the cookbook. So I want to see through their reflection, what are the things that they have changed. So it's going to be that, you know, so it's not, I want to kind of get like activities or like questions in general, like open-ended things, where I want to see where they got, you know, how far they got and what are the things they learned and what has changed, you know, from what they already know. And if they think, if there is any, you know, thing like even if they can relate themselves even, you know, because that's why also I talked about the intercultural like citizenship, you know, so even like you start like there is, you are part of it and you look from like yourself, but also you have the wider, you know, like look at like the word as well and how you connect it together. So
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So thank you so much. I know we're coming up to 4 o'clock today, so we got about 2 minutes left. However, we will continue our conversation after 4. We're just gonna turn off the recording so that those of you who still have questions, we can continue for a few minutes. We can discuss, you can come up with ideas or share with us how you incorporated food in your classes. And so forth. So feel free to ask questions in a chat, and we'll go a little bit after 4. And those of you who need to leave at 4 o'clock, I would like to remind you of our next session, which is going to be next week. And it's going to be presented again by Kate Pesani from University of Minnesota. And it's going to be, we're going to be talking about community.
Thank you everyone who joined.